Hello and welcome to the Florida Person Podcast.
Hi, everybody.
Florida
person.
Florida
person. Florida person.
And what do you have this week?
Well, today, our recording day is Valentine's Day.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to talk about somebody whose birthday happened to be on Valentine's Day. And it was definitely one of the, I guess, one of the most influential men in my life, in my entire
Ooh.
life, that I think about pretty much every day
Uh-huh.
when I do my makeup. And the man that I give 100% credit for, like, saving my eyebrows, saving me from making really, really extreme, like, decisions about my eyebrows, and that is the makeup artist Kevyn Aucoin.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Do you know who Kevyn Aucoin was?
No. Is he that making faces guy?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I only know that because you've told me that.
Yeah, exactly. I love this man so much, and I'm learning new things about him, like, all the time. Like, first of all, I just learned a couple weeks ago how to pronounce his name the way that he wished it to be pronounced, which still a lot of people don't pronounce it that way, which there's a lot of, a couple of interviews I saw where he says, Kevyn Aucoin,
Mm-hmm.
like the French way. And so I was like, "Oh, wow. I've gone my whole life thinking it was Kevyn Aucoin." But that's the way he liked to pronounce it. And so Kevyn Aucoin was one of the most influential makeup artists of the 20th century, the late 20th century. He was just an amazing artist, and he lived a very short life, but in that time, he worked with every single supermodel of the '90s and was also really influential in, making actors and actresses at one point, like, we're used to seeing a lot of actors and actresses in campaigns for, like, makeup and, fashion, and, like, modeling, model shoots type things, but that really wasn't a popular thing until, like, he came along and, in the late '90s, kind of did that. And his books, The Art of Makeup, Making Faces was the book that I had when I was 14 years old, that I was obsessed with, that I would do my makeup every day, like, trying different looks. In that he was, doing, like, a lot of different, transformations of celebrities,
Okay.
where he would make, like, the singer T-Boz, like, he made her look like Josephine Baker. He made, this really beautiful, uh, picture of the model Amber Valletta, where she was made up like the old, classic Hollywood couple, Clark Gable and Carole Lombard, and he made her up, like, to look like both of them. Um,
Like separately, or was it
he did her makeup, like, as Clark Gable and as Carole Lombard,
oh, okay,
and which
and
is
then
really interesting
put them like
because
side by side or
yeah,
something?
which was really a very interesting thing to do because the model Amber Valletta looked just like Carole Lombard, like this beautiful, actress from the '30s who was married to Clark Gable. She died in a plane crash, in, like, 1941, I think. Um, so it was interesting to take something that was obviously gonna work, like, of course, you're gonna make Amber Valletta look like, Carole Lombard, but to take it an extra step further and make her look like Clark Gable, and then that picture was like, both of the pictures fused together, so it looks like Clark Gable and Carole Lombard. Um, it was just really fun to look at that book. I remember the first time to see, like, "Oh my gosh, who is this?" Oh, wow. It's like, he made, like, Janet Jackson look like, Dorothy Dandridge. And then he also took, uh, average people, and he also gave them makeovers. He included a lot of personal photos of, him making up his first model, which was, like, his little sister in, like, the '80s, all these, like, Polaroid photographs.
So it's kinda like he was doing, you know how people on YouTube and TikTok and stuff like that do, like, the huge makeup, like, reveals and transformations? He was kinda doing that before it was a thing?
Definitely, definitely. There are 2 excellent documentaries that I saw
Mhm.
about Kevin. And, one of them is, The Beauty and the Beast in Me, which is very interesting because it has a lot of, he photographed his whole life and he video recorded everything. So, it's really neat when you see somebody who like, he passed away in 2002, but he would have been I mean, what he was doing is stuff that people do nowadays, just, like, take for granted. And so it's like you can see him just like, his presence is still really relevant. um, there's another documentary called Larger Than Life: The Kevyn Aucoin Story. Both of them came out in 2017, and they both, talk about, his career and his life. He was born in, Shreveport, Louisiana
Okay.
in 1962. He was adopted. So his birth name was Kevin and remained Kevin, and he was, adopted by, uh, a couple, Teresa and Isidore Aucoin in Louisiana. He had it really, really rough growing up because he was gay and in Louisiana,
Yeah,
and that
that's
was not
probably still tough even now.
not yes, exactly. And what I really liked about the documentary, The Beauty and the Beast in Me. Oh my gosh, it's like it's so sweet, it makes me wanna, like, cry. But, like, I really loved that documentary, the way that they interviewed his father, who is, like, this older, like, Cajun man, like, he has, like, this accent, and he was talking about how, uh, coming to terms with, like, his son's sexuality and, how he and his wife were really involved in the church, up until a point, though, because it became obvious to his wife, especially as Kevin was getting older and was around, like, 12 years old, that, that Kevin was probably gay, and they just really hated what sort of like what people were saying at church about gay people, all of the hurtful things they were saying, all
Yeah,
of
that's
that
kind of the
stuff.
thing is, like, sometimes you hear that the parents had a hard time, like, when their child came out, but it's not always like, "Oh, but because he was gay and we hated that." It was because you just hate how the society and things back then especially were
Yeah.
treating that, and what like, just seeing your kid go through something like
Yeah.
that so hard
Yeah.
is more of, like, what happens, I think, a lot of the time. Like, a
And
parent
yeah.
is just like, I didn't want you to have this hard of a path."
Exactly, and it was just it's just so amazing to see this this man that you just consider to be, "Oh, he must be, like, super conservative," but he said, "No, that, like, we didn't leave the church left us."
Yeah.
We couldn't take that, we loved our child, we loved him as much as we loved his siblings because they adopted I think they adopted 3, uh, children, 2 boys and a girl? Maybe 4. No, I think it was 2 boys and 2 girls. Um, and they really they loved him and they saw what an artist he was because he was absolutely obsessed with Barbara Streisand. So he did these beautiful paintings, which I knew him as a makeup artist and seeing his, like, drawings of, like, of makeup designs and stuff, and I knew that he took a lot of photos of his sisters, like, dressing them up and doing their makeup, and it's so cute because they're all like I mean, it's like the '80s and it's like Polaroid pictures, but they're like he's trying to make them look like, like high fashion.
Yeah.
But to see him as, like, an artist, he did these beautiful, beautiful portraits of, Barbara Streisand, and he was featured in, like, the newspaper, and his father was talking about how they went on, like, this family, like, fishing trip, and on the way there, all he wanted to listen to was "The Way We Were," like
Mhm.
that Barbara Streisand song. But, when he was 15, he dropped out of high school, and he, started taking a, like, makeup class, but, within, like, a few months, like, he was teaching the makeup class,
Wow.
and from there, it was just like, you know, he just really, you know, he left, Louisiana when he was 18 and moved to New York City and then just, like, started his whole career.
Does it have anything about the makeup that he used? Because I can't even really think about it, but back like 20 years ago, I wonder how expensive makeup is because sometimes makeup is so expensive for like just a little thing that it always discourages me from going too far out of my box because I'm like,
Yeah,
I really don't want to, just to do some kind of look. I don't want to have to spend like 80 bucks on stuff at Sephora or
yeah,
even at
which
the drugstore, even if you go to a CVS, I mean, you can
it's so
spend a
easy
lot of
to
money.
you
Yeah.
really can, yeah. Like, in those books and everything, he would be talking about, like, the types of products, but he wasn't naming brands.
Mhm.
And it does talk about, like, how he was working on his makeup line because that his makeup and skincare line is now, like, this huge thing, after he died pretty much. I mean, he was, working on stuff his mascara I think he was alive when he released his mascara. Um but, a lot of the makeup in his books, he spoke about, like, the types, like cream blush or this, but it never came across as a, like, advertisement for anything,
Mhm.
and what I liked about his whole approach to beauty and makeup was that there's any way that you can do it. There's not one type of look. There's not one type of eyebrows. There were so many options out there, which I think is always a good idea for people when they're approaching makeup to realize that there is not just one particular look. I really don't believe in anything like the golden ratio of beauty or anything like that, because I think anybody can be beautiful, and the most important thing is to look different and to find something about yourself that is interesting and to celebrate that, which he did 100%, and I mean, later in his career, he was able to, like, do Barbara Streisand's makeup, and, like, that's something he and I, like, I guess, have in common because when I was a child, I was obsessed with Barbara Streisand, and I always looked at her as like a beauty icon too because I know, like, early in her career, people were always telling her to get a nose job, and she was like, "No," and that's what made her unique. That's what made her special. Not nowadays where really people are going overboard with like, "Oh, this is the eye that I want. This is the lip
Or have
that I
you heard
want."
of, the big surgery, I guess, now these days is the buccal fat removal? Have you heard of that?
That is the most I think that's one of the most tragic surgeries a person can get.
Well,
Um,
entirely it's so if you didn't know, it's where they basically take the fat out of, you have, like, this fat in your cheeks,
yeah,
like, in a cavity in your cheeks, and it's what gives most people, like, the rounder cheeks, and everybody has it too, like, some people have more or less to have, like, a more rounded look, but it's
yeah,
very much if you get it taken away, it changes the shape of your face so much that like it sinks your cheeks in and it can give you like kind of a high fashion like high cheekbone look, but the problem is it's also that's very temporary that it's gonna look good on your nice young face because
yeah.
later on you're not gonna have anything to pad out the sides of your face,
No,
so
and you don't know
you
what's
could
gonna
really make
yeah.
you look like gaunt.
You're stuck with that. I've seen that on
Yeah, because they
people.
can't put it back in. I mean, at least
No.
right now they can't put it back in. Maybe
The
one day they'll be able to put it back in, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Because right now the technology is. that the fat that exists in the human cheek is different than the fat that exists in the belly or the thighs or the butt. So you
Yeah.
can't really take that fat and put it back.
Mhm.
I've seen, um I've seen people get that surgery and then they're left with, like, extra skin around that area because it looks like you need to get if you're getting that, you get that removed, and then you need, like, a little lift in that area too.
Mhm.
I've seen it where it's like I can see kind of like the teeth kind of almost poking through the skin. It's just
Yeah.
creepy looking, and I just think I think it's sad because you're stuck with that. You're stuck with it, and it's different than some other procedures,
Well, it's especially dangerous because it's not incredibly invasive because you're literally just making an incision and taking the fat out,
Yeah,
and it's not like a high recovery thing, and it's also I guess it's not, like, incredibly expensive. I think you can do it for, under 10,000 bucks,
yeah,
um, and so it's one of those that but it completely, like, changes your look, and so all these actresses are, like, getting it to be more high fashion. I know Leah Michele and, Chrissy
oh,
Teigen,
yeah.
and, they
It's like, don't
think
you wanna
Bella
look like
Hadid
you're
probably did it too.
oh, yeah, that's yeah. Think allegedly, definitely.
And I think, like, they all went to, like, some pretty skilled surgeons for sure, and, they do look good, but it's also as you age and as you get older, you're not gonna have, any cushion there because your face thins out the older you
Yeah,
get, so then that's
yeah,
gonna what we don't also know because this is a newer surgery, so there's no, older people who had it done, like, 10 years ago to look at, like, they're just
yeah,
assuming this might not be the best move.
and
And
it's
as of
like
right now, they have no
yeah,
way to put it back in if you go, "Alright, well, that was fun for a decade, and now, like, as I'm moving into the twilight years, I'd like to round myself out again."
yeah, yeah, and, I mean, there are so many makeup techniques that you can do where you can make yourself look all sorts of different ways. I really like the effect, like, the makeup effect, trying to get that, like, buckle removal effect. I've seen, some makeup artists using it's basically like old age makeup
Mhm.
techniques that you use for like, straight up from, like, stage makeup books that are, like, to hollow out the cheek, but it's just
Yeah.
it makes me laugh because it's just, like, kind of going from one extreme where it's, like, full face fillers to, like, the other extreme where it's like, "No, you're
Yeah, well,
gonna."
that's kind of the thing is whenever it's something very extreme, that's when you gotta go, am I sure?" Especially when
Yeah.
you are already like a very, pretty woman before, But,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess, choices, these
So
are the
choices.
choices you make, and it's irreversible right now, but I'm sure it there'll probably be
Sure.
something in, like, 10 years or something, but nothing will ever bring you back to what you were born with there,
Yeah. Yeah, jeez. So
so be careful.
I'll take a break from Kevyn Aucoin for a moment, and then I will, uh, I'll continue a story when you after you tell me what's going on in the news in the modern times.
So we just got done with the Super Bowl. I went to a Super Bowl party and I mean, I really couldn't care less who wins the game.
Oh,
Football's just,
yeah.
like, not something I care about,
Don't
like, I went to
yeah.
UF, so, like, I care, I guess, if, like, the Gators are doing well, but, like, they haven't really done super amazing in years, so I don't even really pay attention to that anymore.
Yeah, no, I didn't see any commercials. I only saw the halftime show.
Yeah, I saw the halftime show with Rihanna. It was fine.
I thought I thought Rihanna was is the only person who could g like, for me, I love Rihanna, and I think she is so cool, and she just kind of, like, came out and was like, "Everybody's been bothering me since 2016 about when I'm, like, releasing new music. Alright, here I am, guys. I'm gonna have all these people dance around me, and I'm gonna look great, and I had a baby, I'm like and now I'm having another baby."
Yeah, I don't know,
It was
it
thrilling.
was
There were some parts that were really thrilling, especially, like, those floating things, especially the one at the end, I was like, "This thing's moving too much." That was thrilling, and then when all of the lights started playing, I was like, "Oh, no. Is he gonna come out?
Maybe they thought that, like, 6 months ago, but then they had
Is
to
he gonna
scrap
come out?"
that.
It was very thrilling. I was like, "No, he's not gonna come out, is he?" And he
Yeah.
didn't.
I mean, I guess I disagree. I just thought it was kinda boring. I was like, maybe the backup dancers could, I don't know, do a costume change, or, like, they could
No,
change the lighting package, I don't know, once during the show. I
it was
understand
like
that she was pregnant and she can't do stuff, but, it felt like the person who designed the show was quiet quitting to me.
it felt like Rihanna was like, "Just I'm doing this to shut you up,
Yeah, it
but I
kind
don't
of felt
really
like
wanna
they were
be
like,
here."
"Rihanna, do you wanna do this show?" And she's like, "Not really." And
Not
that's
really,
the show
I'm just gonna
everybody got. So, I was like, well,
I
that
feel
was
like
kinda boring." It was just kinda boring. I was like, especially since last year's show was so everything.
it made me
Um
laugh because it was like it looked like it's like she's got all the money in the world, and she's like, I'm just gonna alright, guys, here I am."
Yeah, that's what I felt. I was like, "Okay, cool." Yeah, it was, not the best one, not the worst one, that's Maroon 5, but
Oh,
not the
yeah.
definitely not gonna make a top 10 list anytime soon. Kinda
Yes.
boring. It was
Yes.
it at worst, it was boring. That's my opinion. I don't that's how I feel. That's how I feel, and,
I think it's
whatever.
gonna be memorable because of how, like, low energy it was. Because she's
Yeah,
like,
well,
"I'm here.
maybe.
I'm here."
Maybe. Yeah, it's just kinda I don't know, I was just like, whoever designed this was like, "Yeah, even I don't care. I don't care. Let's have everybody kinda dress like tampons, and we'll have floating iPhones, and we'll call it a day, guys." It's just like, just mix it up at least once during the just once. Just once. You don't have to,
I
like,
like
go crazy, but you could just, like, mix, like, one thing up, and that would been like, "Okay, alright,
yes,
they did a couple things there.
a
Good,
couple
good, good,
things.
good." But, that didn't happen. But whatever. It is what it is. If you liked it, I'm glad you liked it. If you
Yeah,
didn't,
because
that's okay too. Like, I hate how people are like,
yeah,
"Oh, like, it was the best," or "It was the worst." It was like,
I
it
think
was pretty mid.
no. I think it was just completely unique to where Rihanna is in her life. It just
Yeah.
really it made me it, like, was, like, relatable where I'm like, "Yeah, I guess sometimes I'll show up to things and be like, 'I'm here.'"
Yeah, it was just mid. It was mid. And whatever. It is what it is. But so this is coming out of the Super Bowl, about one of the most widely eaten foods during the Super Bowl. So it's
What is
called
that?
How the Boneless Wing Became a Tasty Culinary Lie.
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah. So one day in 2020, at the pandemic's height, an earnest looking man with long hair the color of buffalo sauce stepped up onto a podium in Lincoln, Nebraska to address his city council during its public comment period. His unexpected topic, as he framed it, it was time to end the deception.
What?
I propose that we of a city remove the name Boneless Wings from our menus and from our hearts, said Ander Christensen, who managed to be both persuasive and tongue in cheek all at once. We've been living a lie for far too long.
What?
With the Super Bowl at hand, behold the cheerful untruth that has been perpetuated upon, and generally with a blessing of, the chicken consuming citizens of the United States on menus across the land, a boneless wing that isn't a wing at all.
Oh my gosh, this man has the guts to say what
So,
we're all thinking.
yeah, so the odds are you already knew that. Those spot checks over the past year at a smattering of wing joints, to see what we did there, suggest that a
Ooh.
healthy amount of Americans don't. But those little white meat nuggets, tasty as they may be, offer a glimpse into how things are marketed, how people believe them, and whether it matters to anyone but the chicken. This weekend, according to the National Chicken Council, so this weekend, like Super Bowl weekend, Americans are set to eat 1.45 billion chicken wings.
Okay.
So, if you've ever wanted a deep dive into what it means to eat the wings that aren't and how the wings chicken wings proximity to beer, good times, and football sent it all soaring, now it's time.
Oh my gosh.
So, surimi is fish that effectually becomes a crab or lobster meat for many of us and stars in California rolls across the land. Carrots are cut and buffed until their edges are curved and smoothed, becoming baby carrots, or slightly more truthfully, baby cut carrots. Impossible burgers are plant based delicacies that carry many of the meat's characteristics without ever having been near an animal. And Chilean sea bass, not a bass at all, but a rebrand of something called a Patagonian toothfish.
What?
So there's so many lies. Part of the reason
So
for the
many lies.
rise part of the reason for the rise of the boneless wings is money, of course. In recent years, with prices of actual chicken wings rising, the alternative became more cost effective. The average price for prepared boneless wings is $4.99 a pound, compared with $8.38 a pound for bone-in wings, according to Tom Super, Senior Vice President of Communications for the National Chicken Council,
Oh my
citing the U.S.
gosh.
Department of Agriculture.
I'd like to imagine that the chicken council is made up of chickens.
I wish it well, that'd be crazy. Can you imagine being on a council where they eat your friends and you just
Well, I'm sure that those chickens would be like, "We're better than the other chickens. We're just like the chosen chicken council. We get to decide who lives and who dies." Asshole
Yeah.
chickens.
So the article just goes on to present that when in a 2018 poll from Buffalo Wild Wings, it's credited that Buffalo Wild Wings invented the boneless wings, but I'm sure that can also be disputed. But they're trying to
Mhm.
take claim for creating boneless wings. Um,
Okay.
you
Jeez.
know, fine, sure, whatever. 40% of people said they like boneless wings compared to bone-in wings.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I
I
mean,
understand why different people like it. I mean, it's a nugget, you don't have to, like, bite it off the bone, you can eat it in one bite and stuff, but
yeah, I
I prefer dark meat, so I like the chicken wing the way it is.
I like a chicken thigh. Give me them
Mhm.
thighs. Give me them thick thighs.
Yeah, so that's why I like the chicken wings, like, with bone in because it's the dark meat where a boneless wing is essentially just a nugget just tossed the same way that a regular wing would be. And I've had friends who are, like, very into boneless wings, and there's boneless wings, and that's what they think of as wings when you go out for wings. And, like,
Oh,
they're wrong, but also, like, get
they're
what you
wrong.
wanna eat. If you
I
wanna
mean,
eat that,
yeah.
get what you wanna eat. I'm not gonna be like, "Duh, you can't get that on wing night." Like,
Oh, yeah. I like well, and, yeah, I don't like well, I have issues with holding things in my
mhm,
hands, and I
mhm,
don't like touching food. So it's like with the whole, like I like chicken wings, though, but they have to be, like, de defleshed
deboned. Yeah.
defleshed for me or, yeah, deboned for me.
Mhm, mhm.
Give me the shredded give me the shredded little chicken wing bits. But yeah, I mean, they're delicious. They're delicious. I think the taste of a chicken wing and a boneless chicken wing, it's like a chicken nugget. I mean, it's like a chicken tender, like a small chicken tender.
Yeah, it is. It's just I mean, like, I'll eat boneless wings, but if I'm going out for like, I specifically want wings sometimes, and I'm not thinking of a boneless wing as a wing because I like chicken tenders and stuff like that just
Mm,
fine.
yes,
Just
it's
fine.
just
It's just
fine.
not what I'm thinking about when I'm thinking about the chicken with the bone in. Like,
Yes,
I
yes.
want that specific taste because dark meat does taste different.
Yeah, and
It
they have
does.
the texture of it, the tenderness.
The texture is different. So it does end
Mhm.
with this sort of condescending line. Generations that grew up on chicken nuggets turned to boneless wings as a way of allowing themselves to continue those eating habits. They get to pretend that they're eating like adults. Okay. I mean, I grew up eating a
Okay.
lot of chicken nuggets and I still like chicken wings just fine. So just, step off. And I think the big debate is whether you like flats or drumsticks. I'm a drumstick person, but I think flats are more popular.
I know, I think that they're tender. They
I
think
I
they're more
just like
tender.
I like cartilage. I like to bite the ends of the bones
Oh.
and, like, I
Ugh.
like the cartilage a lot, and the drumsticks have more of that, so, you know.
Well,
Also,
that
the little bone in the flats is kind of annoying to eat around, and I think you get a little
well,
less meat.
it is, unless you have people tear that up for you like I do.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
know. But yeah,
So,
I mean, chicken for everybody. Chicken,
yeah.
different chicken.
I mean, also, like, if you're using all the parts of the chicken and we're getting the most out of this animal that is giving its life to sustain us, I'm fine with that too. But give me the wings then,
Yeah,
and you can have the nuggies, and that'll be fine. That'll be
there's
fine. I just
yeah.
don't like people who say like, "Oh, like I like boneless wings because like it's gross. Like people eating the bones, it's gross."
What?
It's like, yeah,
Oh,
I don't like when people like it's gross to eat like different parts of the animal. I'm like, no, if you eat any
oh,
part of the animal, no part of the animal's gross to eat because you should be, in my opinion, I think you
yeah,
should be eating all the animal if you're
I
gonna
mean,
eat the animal at all.
yeah, I really think it's strange when people get all judgmental about, like, what the eating the right way, eating the wrong way. Why are you eating this way? Why are you a vegetarian? Why are you vegan? Why are you eating, gluten-free? I have to eat gluten-free because if I eat gluten, I, like, have, explosive diarrhea.
No.
So it's like but it becomes such an issue to other people.
Yeah, people
Um,
are really particular about it. I just don't like when people tell me it's gross to like eat something like
yeah,
that, or it's like gross to eat because I like weird stuff or what some people consider like I love like chicken feet. I think chicken feet are delicious. It's
go for
mostly
it. If it
cartilage,
makes
and
you
that's
if
why
it
I
makes
like
you
it.
yeah, if it makes you happy,
But
then
don't be
eat
like,
it.
"That's disgusting." It's like,
Yeah,
"No, I'm doing a service
not
by
for me.
eating all the animal." I think that's a good thing. You don't have to eat it, like,
No,
you don't
yeah,
have to do that, but let
exactly.
me do it. I'll do it.
Yeah, I've had chicken feet, it wasn't for me, but that
Mhm.
doesn't mean I'm like, I'm gonna find everybody that eats it, and I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and you're
judge them. Like, that's
disgusting.
crazy.
Yeah, it's always weird to me, though, when I find because I know a few people like this, um oh, sorry, garbage truck going by. Uh, I know a few people like this who they eat meat, but they won't eat like a bone. They don't like anything. They won't have like ribs, seeing that it had a bone, or like a chicken leg, if it or anything like that, because it's too much like the flesh of an animal. And I'm like, but
The
that's what
bone?
it is, y'all.
The
Like,
bone?
yeah, well, like,
Oh,
having the bone in reminds them that it was, like, an animal, and I'm like, "Yes, but
what?
it is an animal, my
It is
friend,
an
like,
animal.
there's
It
no getting
it
around
is,
that, you're gonna have to
it
square with
is.
that somehow."
It is. I mean, like, when it comes to fish, I know there are people that like eating the entire fish, which,
Mhm,
I mean, that's fine, go for it. It's not for me, but,
mhm.
I mean, the bone is kind of like, "Come on." It's a bone.
It's not
That's
that
like
crazy.
you really wanna be completely divorced from the idea that you want everything to be a
Yeah.
nugget? You want everything to be a nugget?
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm sure I can understand you don't want maybe the food staring right back at you, but
There was one time that, what is it? That I I had gone, like, I don't know, a couple days to another Cuban restaurant, like, me and Chris went to, like, some Cuban restaurant, and I had, snapper, but it was, like, just the fillet of snapper, and it was delicious. Then a few days later, I went with my parents to another Cuban restaurant, and they had snapper on the menu, and I convinced my mother to get the snapper, but then when it arrived, it wasn't like a snapper fillet like I had, it was, like, the whole little dude, and
yeah.
he was, like, sitting on a plate, and his whole head, everything, and he had, like a little hat on, like a little, like, cocktail parasol, like,
Oh.
and
Oh, that's kinda fun, I like
my
that.
my parents are, like, not really into fish to begin
Mhm.
with, and so this was, like my poor mother, the little fish was like, "Hello, everybody, I'm here." And I felt bad. I felt so bad because I was like, "You should try the snapper."
Yeah, give it a shot, it won't be that bad, and then it comes out and it's fully like, "You did this to me." That's kinda cute. I'm glad they gave him a little personality, though.
I know, it's really cute. I'm like, "Oh, this is like so." If I loved eating fish that way, I would be so happy with it.
Yeah, the
You
only
know?
I can totally eat, like, a fish that's staring back at me. The only time I've ever had, like, a problem with something looking back at me is I went to, like, a pig roast once, and
Oh,
I was like, "Oh, I kinda need to, like, go to the other." I don't wanna I can't look this guy in the face while I'm, like, taking a
oh my
piece of
gosh.
him.
I had, when I was, like, 4, my, family went to, I don't know, some relative up in Port St. Lucie, and there was a pig roast, and I was really into dinosaurs at the time, and I remember seeing the pig and being like, "I'm gonna eat like a dinosaur," and
That's a
my
good way to look at it.
nobody else in my family wanted to eat that, but I was like, "Give me everything.
Yeah, I mean, the
I
pig
am a
was really, really
dinosaur."
good. I was just like, "Ooh, I just, like, give me a piece from the back end." I don't want the front end here. It's a little too much, too much, too much.
Uh,
So do you have more facts on Kevin for us?
I do, because, one of the, most, trademark thing about Kevin Aucoin's appearance was that he was extremely, extremely tall.
Mm, how
He had
tall?
he was well, he kept getting taller, and
What?
that he kept getting taller, and that was a problem.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was when he was living in I mean, when he first moved to New York City, when he was 18 years old, he was 6'1", but
Okay.
then by the end of his life, he was 6'7". And
Ooh.
so during this period of time, he was having chronic pain, and
Mhm.
he was always having headaches, and he just felt like he was working too hard. But he was also growing, and the thing is you don't continue growing as an adult, like,
No, you don't. At some point, it's gotta end.
yeah. So what was going on is he had, like, a pituitary, tumor.
Ooh, oh, I've heard about this before.
So
Just
I didn't
the
yeah,
ailment,
the
not
ailment,
that it
yeah.
happened to him.
Yeah, and it was actually Cher, because he did her makeup, he was, like, really good friends with Cher, and Cher was pretty convinced that he had, like, condition that was related to the pituitary gland, and that's why he was having so much pain, and that's why he was growing,
Mm.
which is it's so shocking to me that somebody can be having these changes to their body and, like, you're continuing to grow and you're not at, like, a specialist, like, way, way sooner. Um, but, it turns out that he had this pituitary, tumor. Now, I only found out, like, a couple weeks ago after I saw these 2 documentaries, that, he, that he didn't die of the pituitary tumor. I always assumed that he died because of the tumor,
Mhm.
but he had all of this pain related to the tumor. They were able to do surgery and, uh, remove, like, most of the tumor and, like, saving his life, but he had all of these pain issues that he was having problems with, like, with painkillers, and he had, like, addiction and relapse with painkillers.
Oh, yeah, isn't that sad? It's like one of the things you're just trying to feel better, and now that's the main problem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and
That
so
happens so much, especially nowadays, you
yeah,
know? Yeah.
and it was basically like acetaminophen
Ooh,
toxicity,
ooh.
which I didn't even know was, like, a real thing.
I know it could happen with drinking because we used to do those alcohol awareness shows at, like, colleges, the improv group I was traveling with, we had to do that every once in a while to make more cash,
Yeah,
and that was one of, like, the things is you really shouldn't take anything with acetaminophen, especially after you've been drinking, because it can be really, really tough on your body and lead to
yeah,
complications and poisoning as well. So,
yeah,
that
definitely.
whole, like, "Take an aspirin," like, before you go to bed. Nope, don't do that. Don't do that if you're, like,
No,
drunk. Don't do that if you're drunk. Don't take, like,
no,
the ibuprofen or the acetaminophen, like, pill while you're drunk. That's not good for you.
no, and be really careful with taking it at all, because it's like you can just you can get toxicity from taking too much of just acetaminophen, just like you
Mhm.
can of Advil, but
Yeah, I mean, it's not meant to be taken every day. It's literally, like, if you have a headache or something or, you know,
yeah,
for a small amount of time to manage pain, but if you're in constant pain, I can see why you would abuse something like that.
I know, and because when they removed the tumor, it didn't affect the pain from the tumor. And it's just, like, really, really sad that he went through all of that agony, and it's basically like he just his body was growing.
Yeah, that's
His
horrible.
body was growing, but,
Well, isn't that, like, the tallest man, like, the Guinness World Record? He has, like, a pituitary gland, tumor
yeah,
too.
yeah,
Like, that's
yeah,
that's the common thing, I think, if it's not, like, giantism, it's usually something like that, you know?
mhm.
Yeah.
It was just really, so I mean, he had a amazing life, his parents loved him, his siblings loved him. He did get back in contact with his birth parents, which were like this was the now this is the craziest. Besides like, the acetaminophen toxicity, like, killing him part of his life, which was very shocking, he got in contact with his birth parents before a few years before he died. It didn't end up going very well.
Oh, that sucks.
Yeah, and the documentary, the Beauty and the Beast Within Me, documentary, they interviewed his father, Isidore. His mother had passed by that interview part, but his birth mother, they interviewed her, freaking Bertha or whatever, and this woman, I didn't like this woman at all. She, he was really hopeful about getting in contact and, like, restarting, maybe having a relationship, which he tried, but, they were, extremely conservative. Um, she was not accepting at all of the fact that he was gay. And the weirdest part about it was that she, um, gave birth to him. She was, with the father, got pregnant. Uh, then, she had the child. She was sent away to, like, a, like, home for unwed mothers type situation like they used to have.
Mhm.
Um, she gave birth to him. She named him Kevin. She said that she, wasn't in love with the father, and and she just, couldn't provide for Kevin. And so she gave him up for adoption. And um, then she got back with the father, like, a few months later.
Oh, so it kinda seems like maybe you coulda raised your kid. I don't
Seems
know.
like maybe yeah, it seems like maybe you could've, and so luckily, I think it was just the most wonderful thing in the world that he ended up being adopted by Isadore and Teresa
Yeah,
and having
probably
a
so
wonderful
much
family.
better,
Yeah.
just having them support him and everything so that he was able
Yeah,
to thrive under that instead of having
yeah, and so then
the other situation.
when he got back with, when he did get in contact with the birth parents, he had another brother because she had another son, and
Oh,
you know what she named that child?
what?
Kevin.
What? Did she already know he existed and all that?
She already had
Oh, so she
Kevin,
just named
named
another
Kevin,
kid Kevin?
and she wanted to have a child named Kevin,
Oh, that's
and
weird.
I'm
Come
like,
on.
"What? This is
Maybe she's
maybe."
like, "Well, I used that one up a while ago, but it doesn't matter because I didn't keep it." That's so weird. That what a weird thing to do. Even
Yeah,
if that's, like, your favorite name and you're like, "Now I am ready to start a family." You
yeah.
can't you can't reuse that one. That's a weird thing to do.
So
Oh,
strange. So, yeah, it didn't work out. It's like he got in contact with them and, met them and tried to have a relationship, but the her beliefs were too, uh, just, not welcoming of him as who he was, and then they were also trying to get allegedly trying to get, like, financial stuff going from him and,
Yep.
you
Nope.
know,
Bye. Bye.
bye, bye.
Bye.
But his
Can't
book,
do it.
there are 3 amazing books that he wrote that show his work. Those 2 documentaries are so great. He was just a really sweet person, amazingly talented, changed, makeup forever, um, and, really, really recommend those things, and, just I'm so glad that I didn't, like, pluck out all my eyebrows because I saw eyebrow options in that Making Faces book, and I learned
Yeah.
how to cover up my eyebrows too, so I didn't have to make
Make
choices.
all those, yeah, with, like, every other girl in, like, the '90s and early 2000s, just
Yes.
really ruining stuff. I guess I'm just lucky that I was, like, young enough when that craze was big enough that, I didn't have my mom was not gonna go take me to get my eyebrows waxed when I was, like, 10 or whatever,
Yeah.
when Christina Aguilera had, like, the little tiny, like,
Tiny.
semen eyebrows and when that
Yes.
was, like, a huge thing. I was just young enough that it was too early for me to go get that ruined, and then by the time I was, like,
Mhm.
going to get my eyebrows waxed or I was plucking on myself, it was you could do a little bit bigger, so I wasn't overdoing it, but I never had, like,
Yes.
really thick eyebrows anyway, so, I pretty much have the same thing I've always had now. So, not too crazy, but yeah, I'm also glad I didn't ruin them like that. I can't imagine having to I don't know, I guess people have had to get,
People
like,
have,
stuff tattooed on and things like that.
they have eyebrow transplants,
Yeah. Or I
like
guess you could just do, like, the microblading, that usually looks pretty good.
that microblading is painful though, because it's just
Yeah.
like little flicks,
Cuts, yeah, the little
little cuts,
cuts.
little cuts. I had it done a couple times, and I'm
Well,
like,
it's
"Why am I
all
doing this?
painful. I've
As
had
it's
it like,
happening, like,
threading is so
what am I
painful.
doing?"
I got my eyebrows threaded once, and I was like, "I'm never doing that again." I would so much rather do waxing or just, like, plucking on my own. The threading hurt. I don't know
Oh,
why.
yeah.
It's just I guess the way it, like, just pinches, I was like, "No, no, I'll never do that again."
Yeah, there was only one person that I went to that I really liked the way that she threaded. She it was really good, and I didn't have to, like, hold my skin. She was an expert, but she was very pushy when it came to selling other items, and she was
Mm.
always trying to upsell things, and it was very pushy and,
And she
uh,
probably did, like, a quota to make.
uh,
Like, the salons do. I remember when I
it
used to
was
get,
like
like, my
her
hair cut,
salon. It was like
and my
her
mom
salon.
oh, well, when my mom used to, like, drop me off at, like, a salon to go get, like, my hair cut, I'd always come back and I'm like, "And I got this bottle of shampoo they wanted me to buy," and she'd be like, "No, what are you
This
doing?"
bottle.
I'm like, "But they said that now that I got my hair cut like this, I need the shampoo." 'Cause I have, like, a hard time being like, "No, thank you."
Oh, yeah, I know exactly. I mean,
Especially
that's
when I was
me.
younger, I'd be
Me.
like, "Yeah, of course, of
Yeah.
course." Yeah, I went in once to get, like, an acne treatment when, like, my acne was bad in high school, and I came out with, like, $100, like, face brush, and my mom was like, "God damn it." I'm like, "But she said this will really help."
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, so, just careful, you don't have to buy it, you don't have to buy it.
Don't have to.
So this last story, Florida story, because we like to end on a Florida story. This is coming out of the Sun Sentinel from yesterday. The Sun
Alrighty.
Sentinel of South Florida. That was like our local newspaper growing up. I think
Yeah, that's
it's
like, Broward.
yeah, it's like it's you have like the Miami Herald if you're in Miami, and then like Broward County and maybe
Broward. And then you
Palm
get
Beach a little
Palm
bit.
Beach Post, yes.
Yeah, Sun Sentinel. I remember when I was a kid, I went to the Sun Sentinel like factory or whatever. We went on a field trip there and saw how newspapers were made. I
Mm.
wonder if that's still around or if it's mostly online. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know about the Sun Sentinel.
Yeah, so this is coming out. It says otters invade Florida backyards, and it's a good thing.
Aw.
Yeah, so Bradenton, alligators and manatees seem to get all the attention when it comes to Florida wildlife, but otters can be found in every region of the state except for the Keys, and their presence indicates a healthy ecosystem. So, even though the river otter is a Florida native, there's a good chance you've never seen one outside of a zoo. Just be warned, they're cute, but also get nasty.
They get
Well, they are like,
nasty.
they have not always seen, but they are relatively common in freshwater creeks, rivers, lakes, ponds, and swamps around the state, says Lisa Thompson, a Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission spokesperson, said in an email. They use burrows dug along water banks. Bradenton area residents have seen the creatures feasting on fish in ponds in their backyard, and they're shooing them away from their pets. Some locals have even seen them dashing through drains.
Oh my gosh, I wanna see a dashing otter.
Backyard for local residents who have encountered river otters, their stories are either astonishing or downright horrifying.
Hmm.
Samantha Thornton, who lived in Massachusetts before moving to Bradenton 10 years ago, says she's still amazed at the wildlife she sees in her backyard, from osprey to otters. Thornton is sure otters are living under her deck and often sees them in her yard feeding on fish and other animals. I've had a huge iguana on my decks, she said. The wildlife that comes out of this lake is crazy. We have giant snapping turtles, shelled turtles, and red eared slider turtles, all kinds of cool stuff. While otters appear to be gentle, sleek, and friendly with one another, they also have a dark side. If you come across one while walking your dog, you should probably turn around.
What is he gonna do?
I don't know. I generally try and keep my pets away from otters, Thornton said. Sometimes I let my dogs out not knowing there's already an otter in my yard, and the otter gets very mean.
Oh, no.
If you search Florida otters on YouTube, you'll see just how feisty they can get. Videos show otters having it out with an alligator, a caiman, and even a coyote.
Oh my gosh.
Last May, a Seminole County resident captured video of an otter chasing a coyote. Some viewers thought the otter was attempting to defend its offspring from the coyote.
Well, maybe he was just starting things.
So, while river otters are social with each other, people should not allow their pets to interact with otters or other wildlife. To minimize risk to pets, do not allow pets to range freely or approach wildlife, including otters. So, I guess the otters can sort of like, beat on them. I've seen the river otters before, like back when we were living in South Florida, we had like the canals, you have the canals on the side, and I guess ours were really healthy because we'd see the otters every once in a while, and it was like kind of like a big deal. We'd be like, I saw an otter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they
I
are
never saw an otter
very
in the
cute.
wild. That's really cute.
Well, it's also sort of, you kinda have to be, like, looking at the canals or the river or whatever and realize that it's not just, like, a bird kinda, like, popping out or something like that, because they camouflage really well too, because 'cause they're almost like the color of the dark water like that.
Oh my gosh, they're so cute. They make the cutest little noises.
They are really cute. I
They
wonder
sound like little dog toys. They sound like little squeakies.
I guess I'm gonna have to look up some videos of them, like, getting aggressive. My all-time favorite video of wildlife, though, it's, from Payne's Prairie in Gainesville, and it's one of those, the little wild ponies that they had there just beating up an alligator,
Oh, what?
and the alligator's, like, like, hissing at the pony, and the pony just comes over and, like, curb stomps, and it's just like, "Nay!" And you're like, "Holy
Oh,
shit."
no.
The alligator's, like, fine, the alligator's just like, oh my god.
I
Oh
better
my
leave.
god."
This is embarrassing.
Yeah, because he just got, like, smashed in the face. I mean, the alligator's, like, dazed, but it didn't, like, kill the alligator, but the alligator's just kind of like, "Okay.
Oh my god.
Okay, my bad."
Jeez, I gotta see that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'll link it in the show notes. So, if you see an alligator around your area, just or not an alligator, sorry, an otter in your area, just watch it from afar. Be cool. Don't let your dog. I mean, that should go for most wild animals. Don't let your dog get up on it. I hate when
Yeah.
people have the dog off the leash and they're just letting it, you know, just get into some trouble like that because I
Yeah,
love
that's
dogs, but they're not the world's smartest animals, and that's how you're gonna get
no,
your dog, get hurt. That's how
get
your dog
hurt.
gets hurt.
Yeah.
I hate when people do it on like sometimes the hiking trails out here because I'm like, if there's, like a rattlesnake or something on the trail, like sunning itself and the dog runs right up to it, like dog's gonna get bit by a rattlesnake. And that happens all the
Yeah.
time in like Arizona and stuff. You gotta be careful. You gotta be
Oh,
real
yeah.
careful.
Careful, careful for the little puppies.
Yeah. Or
Mm,
even just, some of the other things on the trail, the squirrels and stuff, like that's their house. So you gotta be respectful. Be
yeah.
respectful.
It's my house, I'm the
Yeah.
otter.
There's no reason you can't bring your dog out. There's every once in a while I just see somebody with the dog off the leash and it's like on the side of a busy road and you're like, this is dangerous for everybody.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
I don't want to hit your dog with my car because it ran out into busy traffic and now my life is ruined and your dog is gone. Like,
Oh,
what are you
no, that's
thinking? What are you
that's
thinking when you think that's okay?
tragic.
I hate when people do that. Somebody did that the other day, like, I was getting off the freeway, and these people just rounded the corner, and this, like, dog was just running ahead of them on the sidewalk. I'm like, "This is a six-lane road."
Oh my
Like,
god.
if your dog runs it and the dog was, like, going off of the sidewalk path and, like, getting in the road, and they're just not paying attention or caring, and it's like, you
Oh,
can't have a dog if you do that. It's not the
no.
dog's fault they go all dog, you have to take care of them.
Oh, geez, yeah, that's
Yeah.
not good.
So we'll end with that note. How about
Yeah, be
that?
nice. Be nice
Be
to your dog.
nice. Be
Beware of
nice.
otters. Be careful when you take
Beware.
acetaminophen.
Yeah, and, wings, eat whatever wings you want, but your boneless wings aren't really wings anyway, so
Yeah, sorry,
they're
sorry.
nuggets. They're nuggets. They're
They're not
tasty
good.
nuggets, but, you know,
They're not good.
whatever. Eat what you wanna do. Do what you need to do as long as you do it within a safe reason. How about that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Alright. Well, with that, this has been the Florida Person Podcast.
Florida,
Florida
Florida,
person.
Florida,
Florida person.
Florida, Florida.
Florida person.